Jack Robinson, just really just loving this moment. Big one for him, returning home for the first time with his son and his second victory as a dad. That's some dad power going on there, and as a result, he's climbing these rankings. Griffin Colapinto will still be wearing the yellow jersey over in Tahiti, but Jack Robinson in striking distance at the perfect time, heading to a venue that he absolutely loves.
Yeah, absolutely. You see that little green triangle next to Jack's name. It means he's jumped up the ratings in number 2 position. It's an interesting looking top 10 there. Some new names in there as well.
It is interesting, and one thing to note is there's a bit of separation between 4th and 5th there. Ethan sitting in 4th, he's on 20,000. Geordie in 5th, only on almost 17. So there's a few chunk of points there. Jake Marshall to add, he's dropped out of that out of that top 5. He was coming into this event at 4th, so there's a bit of movement here on the board. And things are getting exciting going into that next stop, post-cut.
Yeah, it's going to be a fantastic fight for the final 5 as we move into that back half of the season. And we are going to be seeing those bigger names match up against one another earlier in the draw now with that compressed field. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch that unfold. Can't wait, bring it on. And also we've got some rookies up in that top-end conversation as well. And I'm looking forward to seeing how they perform.
Yeah, absolutely. But we're at that stage now of the tour where the pressure valve has been let out a little bit. We can forget about the cut and we can really zone in on this final 5 situation. And I think that now we're going to see the performances lift again.
And going into this final, I was like, okay, wow, Gabby's got her work cut out for her. But as soon as this moment happened with the Dolphins, I was like, ooh, I feel like the energy shifted here.
Oh. Yeah, a special moment. No doubt. I think we touched on it during the broadcast that, the feeling when you look at the field, each year you're going, who's improved? Who's stepped it up? And Gabriela Bryan has been that name that everyone's kind of been touching on. She's just looked like a much better performer this year, but the results hadn't really kind of worked in her favour. She came into the event in 10th position. She's going to make a big climb. We're going to see that on the rankings in a moment, but a special moment, Rich, when someone breaks through for their first CT win.
Yeah, it's that moment in your career when you actually go, okay, I can win. I know how to do it now. And she'll be taking those feelings. Everything that's happened today, she'll be applying that for the rest of her career. But some good numbers in the final too.
Really good numbers in the final. For me, one thing that I noticed is in her post-season interview, she was like, you know what, just wanted to always let my surfing do the talking, but this year I've buttoned up a few things. I'm tightening up on the strategy. My heat IQ is a bit better, being more aggressive at the start of heats, and it's absolutely paid off.
Yes, congratulations to Sawyer Lindblad too. Put up a good fight in the final, but maybe for her, just winning through to the final and shoring up her position there in 10th spot, jumping from 12th place. Maybe that was like an event win for her, and it was hard to sort of muster the motivation and focus to get the job done over Gabriela in the final heat of the contest. But for Bryan, it is a huge jump from 10th up to 5th. It's a huge move at the halfway point of the season to get herself in the conversation for the WSL finals.
Yeah, this is looking really, really interesting. This top 10 leaderboard here for the women. A couple of usual suspects down the bottom there that we're used to seeing up the top, and some new names up the top. Obviously, Katie Simmers right there in number 1. Molly Picklum, Brissa Hennessy. She has been so consistent this year, deserves to be in that number 4 position, and I love seeing Gabriela Bryan there in the top 5.
For me, what's interesting is defending world champ Caroline Marks dropped down into 6, so she's not in that top 5 right now. And then we've got Betty as well, Betty Lou, who's been so dominant at the beginning of the year, just fallen down ever so slightly, but because this is changing at every event, I feel like it's pretty close, and I feel like it's just going to change again, especially with those waves that we've got coming up on the back end of the tour.
The big story now is who are we going to be watching through the back half of the season. Of course, the cut is done, and now we can look forward to seeing this group of absolute champions fighting it out for a final 5 spot. It looks good to me.
Oh, it looks great. I think one thing today, Yago, such nervous moments, waiting on, is he going to make it? Is he not going to make it? Big standout for me also, Seth Moniz just had a big job ahead of him, and he finally felt like, to me, he was finding his groove on tour. It felt like we hadn't seen it there for a couple of years, but things just started to click today once he started putting together a couple of heats. And all these crew here are going forward to the last events of the year, and there's some cracking events coming up.
Yeah, a lot of work to do. When I just look at the names on the third list there, Gabriel Medina, we're still waiting for him to make his move and try and get up into that final 5. It's doable at this stage. There's a lot of events to go. Stoked for Seth Manise, just fighting his way out of trouble today. Yago Dora, good to see him back in. Love seeing Connor O'Leary down the back end. But that top list there, that list of Griffin, Ethan, John, Jake Marshall, Barron, Jack, Geordie, it's beautiful. Setting up so well for the rest of the tour.
Do not be surprised if Medina takes out Tahiti and Cloudbreak and gets himself right back up to the top end. He'll be a force there.
Yeah.
Have a look at the surfers that were relegated. The big story, of course, was the GOAT, Kelly Slater. His run as a full-time campaigner on the Championship Tour. It was well celebrated here in the West. It was the perfect place to watch that era, that incredible era, come to a close. And we hope that we get to see him in a jersey again this season as a wild card, but also some very tough situations coming out of the cut as well.
There's so many tough situations coming out of that cut. My brain just straight away goes to Miguel, that really tight heat he had with his brother, and one of them was going to get relegated and Sammy getting the jump on him, but then Sammy not even being able to convert as well, and unfortunately still not making the cut, so both brothers relegated to the Challenger Series. Good news is for Sammy though, I mean, he's got good fond memories of that first event of the Challenger Series last year. He got the win there, so he can sort of hold his head high, maybe draw on some positive memories from there. But there's some big names. Another one, Jacob Wilcox.
Yeah, Callum Robson's had a victory on the Gold Coast as well.
Yeah, I was going to say the two Aussies there, I want to see them both bounce back in a big way. Jacob, he's been on close for so many years, got on, now he's off. He's going to have to do some work at the Gold Coast again. But all hail the king, the GOAT, Kelly Slater, amazing.
Yeah, with full respect to all the surfers relegated, I'm really feel like Samuel Pupo and Jacob Wilcox for me are two surfers that actually haven't shown us their best yet on the CT and have the kind of surfing that's so worthy of being here. So hoping they can get it done on the CS.
Yep.
Let's have a look at the women's tour and see who has made the cut. Of course, this is such a compressed field and it's going to be an intense fight for the final 5 now. Katie Simmons still hanging on to that number 1 position, but Sawyer Lindblad creeping in at the other end in 10th spot.
Oh, when I look at this, it's just such a small pool of women, and it's just crazy to me. They're all so talented. They're all so good. They've got their strengths. They've got their weaknesses. But I just look at that top, the top 5, Katie Simmons, Joanne Defay, Molly Picklum, Brisa, Caroline. I don't even know where to begin, but some unfamiliar names at the back end there. Tyler Wright, Tatiana Weston Webb. We're used to seeing those women's names, right at the top of the rankings, and right now they're finding themselves at the back. So it's going to be interesting. Tati also going to have some probably advantages moving into the back half of the year. Think about Cloudbreak, Tahiti. She's on her forehand there. Big, powerful left-handers. So we'll see if she can get some movement there.
There's a big generational shift happening on the women's tour at the moment. As we look at the relegated surfers from the Championship Tour, Lakey Peterson, that's the big surprise to me. I mean, Lakey's been a fixture at the top end of the ranks for a long time now. She'll be back on the Challenger Series. But, yeah, there's been some tough moments, of course, for our competitors. Luana Silva bumped back to the Challenger Series again.
Yeah, I'll say Lakey and Sally, I agree with you. Unusual to see them in the relegated situation there. But Isabella Nichols and India Robinson, they've been on and off a couple of times now too. So they just don't go away though. They'll keep coming back. And no doubt the job's not done yet for them.